everybody. It's Tony George along with Griff Murphy from DocSports.com. And, of course, we're talking NBA Finals. This will be our last Hoops Happy Hour of the year because we're just putting out picks now for the finals and not a whole lot to preview on a day-to-day basis. So thanks for tuning in this year. We'll be firing back up next year. And don't forget, coming this August, the Gridiron Six-Pack.
That's right.
Griff, did we go 70? We went like 70% on that, 68% or something crazy on that show last year.
It was like 100 play sample size. I believe we drilled like 68% winners. It was something ridiculous, Tony. And you know what? I'm looking forward to doing it again this year, brother.
That's right. Doc's Gridiron Six-Pack. We'll be doing some season win totals, college and pro, and a few other things. And that'll be coming in late August. Of course, the month of June, I'm busy traveling back to Kansas City. I'll be spending the summer in Kansas City, and come football season, I'll be back in Vegas. So nonetheless, it's going to be a tumultuous month for me. But nonetheless, Griff, we are, and I'm glad you could take a break from being a rock star on television all over the place to spend a little time with me here on the Hoops Happy Hour show. You can find Griff almost damn near daily on Sports Grid now, all over the place. My old buddy Joe Ranieri.
Yeah.
Joe's a good guy. I was doing shows with Joe when I think he's probably still down in Miami. But he was just starting off doing his own thing, and now he's blown up, and our good friend Joe Madden as well. So be sure and look for Griff's Twitter updates. He'll tell you when he's on all these different shows out there. Magazine article the other day about Griff. I mean, look at you. I'm just happy to ride the coattails, baby. That's where I'm here.
Well, I gotta say, I do have to send a special thank you out. I didn't mean to cut you out, though, Tony. You were the first one to give me that phone call, man. When I got on board with Docs, you were the one to take me under your wings, and you were the one who put me on the map. So all my thank you and gratitude most definitely is always sent out to you, my mentor, Tony.
Well, I was hoping that you'd leave me more than crumbs, but so far it's just crumbs. Leave a few pieces of bread out there like you're throwing it out to the ducks at the county park. You know, feed me a little bit, buddy. Feed me. But nonetheless, we got Boston taking on Dallas. This is going to be a good NBA Finals. Yeah. Game 1 is Thursday. We're taping this on Tuesday. The line currently 6.5. Boston at home laying the number, total 214.5. These two teams split this year, played each team winning the home game. Boston put it to them 138-110 in the most recent game when they played them at home March 1st and January 22nd. Dallas got them 119-110 at home. And, of course, last year they played twice. Boston beat them by 29 and 13, respectively. The series price right now is Boston minus 225, Dallas plus 185. And, Griff, I'm going to lean heavily on Boston.
Yeah.
And look, the one thing that gives me pause is this, and then I'll get your take.
Sure.
Dallas had three series wins over teams that all had 50-plus wins this year.
Right.
Boston played basically nobody, and everybody they played had massive injury problems to key players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and then the other thing that gives me pause that I might sprinkle a little bit on Dallas plus the 185, just maybe, Griff, is the fact that, again, we have a two-headed monster with Irving and Duncan.
Yeah.
And both of them are studs. And they've had some role players step up. But a team like, let's just take Minnesota, where the sum of all parts that Minnesota had was greater than what Dallas brought to the table, and they were still able to beat them.
Yeah.
So that's what gives me pause. But you and I have said on this show all year long that we thought Boston was the best team in the NBA. And with Porzingis back, which he's going to be back, they're unbeatable. I'm going to stick with that despite some crappy coaching. Your thoughts on the series?
Tony, I mean, that's exactly where I'm at with this thing. I mean, you look at this breakdown, and I've mentioned it over and over and over again. This is an investment in my eyes. You look at the East, Boston rolled in. Boston was the best team in basketball all season long across the entire NBA. It doesn't matter whether it was the West or the East. Boston led every single metric when it came from the perimeter, when it comes from rebounds, offense efficiency, defensive efficiency. Dallas found some spark, let's just say, in the NBA playoffs. And you've got to go over and look over at that Western Conference and who they dealt with. They opened up and they cleaned up against the Pelicans, who we already knew the Pelicans weren't going to be an issue. I'm sorry, the Clippers. They played the Clippers to open up, and the Clippers gave them a very tough time, I will say. Harden was playing very good basketball. PG-13 was playing very good basketball. They were really giving Dallas a run for it. Then we were able to expose how OKC really, that younger age showed out. The talent for OKC was most definitely there. The veterancy of the Dallas Mavericks took over, and that was due to very good coaching job by Jason Kidd. I look at this game right now, Tony, this series, and I just don't see how this matchup is going to intervene itself. When you go to one-on-one matchups, I mean, you have complete mismatches all over the floor. Luka versus Tatum, well, I'm going to take Luka there, but when you're going even deeper, you have the Tatum and Brown duo. The entire Boston Celtics team is deep. You've got Luka. All right, I'm sorry. You've got Tatum. You've got Brown. You've got Horford. You've got White. You've got Holiday. And you've got Porzingis. For Dallas, they are heavily relying on Kyrie and Luka to do it all. And again, going back to how good of a coaching job Jason Kidd did against the Timberwolves, Chris Finch was not in his play mode by any means. They got cleaned up from the field. They were able to take Rudy Gobert out of the paint, and that was all due to mismatches, and that is why this team dominated the Timberwolves so badly. Now, when you have to deal with two guys like Porzingis and Al Horford who are in the paint, and not only that, Al Horford from the perimeter absolutely bangs on top of cleaning rebounds. Where do you find your mismatches in this series? I really like Boston across the entire spectrum. I don't see how Dallas could win this game. I mean, there's too much depth when you look at Boston. They went 37-4 this season at home. Game 7, if this went to a Game 7, is in Boston as well. Tony, I just don't see where you're going to find any value with Boston in this game. The best play in my eyes is taking them plus 1.5 series so you can get some value and an actual play. But where I'd really be looking at in profit in this matchup is going to be on those prop plays, and it's not going to be with Luka and Kyrie. We know that this Dallas team is only going to win this game if Luka and Kyrie drop over 30 points each every single game of the series. You're going to have to look for the X factors. That's going to be PJ Washington. That's going to be Gafford on boards. That's going to be Labelli on boards. Those are the guys that I'm going to be paying most attention to when I'm looking for profit in this matchup. But when it comes to the series in general, Boston's a much better team across the board, Tony. There's really no other answers for Dallas right now. On top of that, Luka's still dealing with that, or he's still nursing that knee injury. So they're not even at full health. I don't care that they haven't played in 10 days going into this matchup. It's still the fact they're still relying too heavily on two guys to carry a load, opposed to a Boston team that is full of stealth players. That's where I'm at, Tony, right now.
Yeah, I made a $300 wager on the futures market a couple of days ago. The Celtics win 4-2 in the series plus 425. Sure. I think Dallas probably going to get a couple. They might get one at home. We know Boston's always due for one debacle. Maybe Boston can win. Maybe Dallas can win another one there. I think it's a 6-game series, and if it was to end, let me run this by you. See, how many games in this series? 4 games, which means Boston or Dallas, but more than likely Boston wins the 4 games plus 480. Mm-hmm. 5 games or 6 games are both plus 210. I put a little money on that as well.
5 games
on both of those. 7 games is plus 240. If Dallas was to win in a 7-game series, it was plus 800. But Griff, I couldn't sprinkle it. I
No.
couldn't sprinkle it. I just don't think at the end of the day, with Porzingis healthy or halfway healthy or the threat of him, he's going to give you 20 and 10, but if he's healthy, but the thing of it is, when he's in there, they spread out more offensively, and you cannot cover them out on the perimeter.
Exactly.
4 guys. You can't do it. It's impossible. And they got guys that can shoot from everywhere. So one other wager that interests me here, series points. Who's going to have the most points in the series? Now, Jason Tatum plus 280 looks mighty tasty to me. Now, I know Brown has stepped up. As a matter of fact, Brown is in there for the MVP at plus 600. We'll talk about that in a minute. But I think Tatum will have more than Luka.
Okay. See, I'm on the other side with that one, Tony, and I'm not necessarily 100% on the other side with that. I'm leniency because Boston's entire game plan is, listen, we just have to stop Luka. That is going to be our entire thing on the defensive side of the game. If we could stop Luka, we're going to stop this team because they don't have any other playmakers that are going to get it done other than Kyrie, and then opposed to PJ Washington. If you think that PJ Washington and Kyrie Irving are going to carry the load for this team, well, you're absolutely wrong. So what we're going to find out is how good is Luka. That's what we're going to be able to see here. Now, when you go to the other side of the spectrum with Tatum, well, you also have to keep in mind the pick and roll of Tatum and Brown. These two guys, they share points game in, game out. So if you look at it from that spectrum, do I think Luka is going to have the most points in the series? Yes, probably, but he's also going to be the most defended on the defensive side of the ball. So that's something to keep in mind. Going to the other side, your lead scorer could possibly be Brown, considering the fact that Tatum is going to be the most defended guy when it comes to Boston, and Luka is going to be the most defended guy. So you can go to your 2 other X factors. For Dallas, it's obviously going to be Kyrie would be your plan B. And then your plan B for the Boston would be Brown. And you're going to get the most value out of Brown in my eyes. We've seen Brown already spark up 40-point games in this postseason. Yeah. So you're not crazy to jump on board if he does so actually do, in fact, lead this series, the NBA Finals, with the most points. So I love that play as well. Looking at Brown maybe for leading, Luka is my guy that I would go full leniency on when it comes to most points. When it comes to MVP, if I'm going to pick an MVP, well, Celtics win the NBA Finals. It's going to be Tatum. It's for the franchise. That's where all the money's going to be all season long, interviews, this and that, post-game shows. Tatum always claims, I'm the best guy on the court. They want to franchise him. They win the NBA Finals. Tatum's going to be the guy who gets all the publicity from it. That is going to be where all the money's going to go to. They are not going to make anybody else the MVP, even if somebody plays better than him. Tatum will win the MVP if the Boston Celtics win the NBA Finals. So in that aspect, I would go in, and I believe that line for Tatum to win the MVP, Tony, if you have it pulled up, is it minus 120, which is a very fair value.
Minus 120, so Luka would get it. He's plus 210 if Dallas wins. They're not going to win.
No.
And I would sprinkle some on Jaylen Brown plus 600. Just sprinkle.
Yes.
Because he could go off for 40 twice, and Tatum has a tendency sometime to take a night off, you know. But I'm saying that he is the franchise guy, but you can bet $500 on Tatum and put $100 on Brown just in case to cover your butt.
I was going to say the
That's
same
what
thing.
you do on this. You're guaranteed to make money.
Yep.
You're guaranteed. There's the guarantee. That is the Stu Feiner super lock of the millennium right there.
Automatic money maker right there.
Bet Tatum on the MVP, sprinkle Brown.
Yep.
Now, maybe I don't think Porzingis at plus 5,000 is going to come out of the woodwork. He's not healthy. This, that, or the other. A couple others here I was going to put out there. And, I want to say this because I want to be fair because we got a lot of Mavericks fans in the house. Okay? Sure. What the Dallas Mavericks have done as I believe they were number 5 seed is amazing. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. You beat the Clippers, and again, this gives me pause that it's just going to be a whitewash by Dallas. Clippers, Harden, George, Leonard played some. You go to Oklahoma City, maybe one of the best players in the league in Gilgeous-Alexander. You got Williams running around, Holmgren. You know, they had mismatches they had to deal with. They beat them. Then you go take on Minnesota. I mean, they made Minnesota look like an ass clown in that last game. I mean, and they did that a couple of times. Karl Anthony Towns, Edwards, Gobert. Go down the list of studs that they got. And there were games in that series they didn't break a sweat. I mean, and Luka was running around on one leg for the first 3 games. I mean, so I'm like, I'm not discounting Dallas's prowess. That's why I think they're going to win a couple of games in this series. They're not here by accident. They're proven. Do I think they go in there game 1 and punk them? No. Game 2, another Boston debacle. They've had them. I mean, Miami beating them by 20 when they're laying 14. I mean, crazy stuff. Boston has lapses in concentration and coaching. And I don't know, Griff, and I'll get your take on this.
Sure.
I don't know if it's just because they're like the Warriors were like 3 years ago. Every now and then they just get complacent. They're bored because they're just that much better than everybody else. So you could have one of those here somewhere along the line.
Tony, I'm on the same path with you. I mean, you open up against Miami, you win that series 4-1. Boston, you could say that Boston had the easiest slate to get in this, or you can look at the Eastern Conference in a wholesome and look at it and say, well, listen, Boston's just that much better than everybody in this conference. And that's what the truth was. You go into series 1, Jimmy Butler's out. You clean him up 4-1. You have one bad game. Tyler Hero drops like 40 points. I think it was 36 points to be exact. You go into series 2, Jared Allen goes completely off to win one of those games in a 4-1 final. Then you go into the third matchup against the Pacers, where they cleaned them up 4-0, and Hale Burton, their most talented player on the Pacers, he was beat up for the majority of all postseason, let alone that series. He had back spasms and hamstring issues. Going into this game right now, Boston is by far, I mean, there's nowhere else to go with this, guys. Boston is the better team. Dallas is not here by accident. I will cut Minnesota a little bit of slack in that last series. They had to deal with one of the toughest teams in the NBA with the Denver Nuggets. They had to play 7 games. The last game was in Denver. We could always throw the altitude in there, and they still went in and beat them. You saw the entire series. Edwards was beat up. He was exhausted. During one of the games, they had an oxygen mask on his mouth. He was gassed up. Rudy Gobert was beat. I mean, the entire team in a wholesome was exhausted rolling into this. They still managed to capitalize all of those victories and move their way into the finals. So going into this right now, Tony, I mean, yes, I absolutely believe that Dallas will take one game in this series. I think there's going to be one of those hiccup matchups because Boston has a trending side and a consistent side to do this. They've done it all season long. They've done it all postseason long. So you're not crazy to think that way by any means. I think this series ends in 5 games. I think Boston cleans them up 4-1. I just don't see how Dallas is going to come in here and have 2 guys take on a pack of 5 to 6 Warriors that are absolute studs. Boston's too deep. Dallas is relying heavily on Luka. We're going to get to see the real Luka show here in the finals, which I'm really excited to see. Going into next season, really excited to see how this Dallas Mavericks team is. But we're not there yet. And hey, I could be wrong by all means. We all could be surprised, as Dallas has surprised everybody every single series of this postseason. But right now, I see this thing ending in 5 games. I see Boston cleaning them up in a 4-1 final, Tony.
Yeah, I was going to look at that. Yeah, I was going to look at that. 4-1. Where's the series? There it is. Hang on, bear with me a second. Let's look at that. Let's look at that wager.
I'm pulling
Celtics 4-1 is plus 300. Celtics 4-2 live line is plus 470. I got them at 425 at 4-2. So there's a couple other leans you might want to consider. Now, game 1 is Thursday. Obviously, we're both going to have picks in that, so we're not going to give them away. I am going to have a 6-unit position. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in that game. I'll tell you about it when I talk to you this week. Well, matter of fact,
Sure.
why don't we go down to Circa and watch game 1?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah, Thursday, Circa, Mega Bar, round the sports book. Griff Murphy, Tony George, show up, be there, be square. We might even stroll out to Stadium Swim for a little eye candy while we're watching the game. You never know. Come on.
No, you don't.
Come on.
No, you don't. Little Jim Beam, little tequila. Next thing you know, Tony, Circa's a good time.
Well, I've been married 35 years, but the old gambler saying I always tell my wife, just because you bet all your money on one horse doesn't mean you can't watch the race. Come on, let's go. Let's go. So we'll have some fun there. For sure, Griff, just quickly, since I got you on the horn here, switching gears, NHL Finals start Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a good finals, dude. Edmonton took care of Dallas. Florida. Florida opened up -140, total 5.5. Game 1 on Sunday. Interesting series there, but to me, it just seems like Florida is on a mission. Losing last year.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Royals in 2014. They lose to Baumgartner, bottom of the 9th, 7th game of the World Series. They come all the way back to next year. They end up knocking off the Mets. And here, Florida is kind of in the same spot. It's tough to get back there. I think Florida might be the team to beat there. Your thoughts on that? Just real quick, just a cursory thought.
For sure. I'm on the same page, Tony. Last season, Florida, going into the postseason, I did not expect by any means them to turn that turmoil into actual, they thrashed everybody. They looked absolutely ridiculous, and they're doing it again right now in this postseason. They look nearly unstoppable. Edmonton, in their most recent series against Dallas, I predicted that. I saw Edmonton winning that series. Dallas did not have the defense that they had last season, and that was the differential in that series. Edmonton is the fastest team on the ice. They put the most shots on the net. They have a very good goaltender, but they are all offense. Their defense is solid. It's not great, but their offense with Driscoll, with McDavid, with Hyman, they have a very aggressive offense. From the point they can shoot. They do everything right as a team, but when we're going to look at talent pool here, I just don't know how they're going to come in and stop the momentum of the way this Florida team is playing. Florida's doing everything. They're playing everybody out physically. They're playing faster. They're winning their fast breaks. They're winning their mismatches. They're scoring on second opportunities. Florida is playing outstanding hockey right now, and that's a team I'm just not jumping in front of. They're like the Boston Celtics in the NBA in my eyes. They're too hot right now. They have too much momentum, and I think they're going to kind of shove it up Edmonton in this next upcoming series right here, Tony.
Yeah, I thought Edmonton had the better front line on both sides against Dallas. They don't have it here. It's going to be a big difference. Big difference. Doc Sports, free $60. That's the place to be. There's a link right up there. Park $60. I had an epic May in baseball. Folks, over $6,300 to the good. And now last couple of days, we took a crap in the cantaloupe patch, but we'll turn that back around. But nonetheless, Major League Baseball, we got WNBA, we got NASCAR on a roll again. There's a shocker. I'm on a roll in NASCAR again, Griff. It's been like 5 years in a row.
You're the GOAT of NASCAR, Tony.
Dude, I'm telling you. So a PGA coming around. We got the U.S. Open, the Memorial this week. The Memorial tournament in the PGA, by the way, is Jack Nicklaus's tournament, and this year it's a signature event. The week before the U.S. Open. Now, outside of the U.S. Open, the British Open, the Masters, and the PGA Championship, which are the 4 majors in golf, there's 2 other tournaments every player wants to win. The Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass and the Memorial, because it's Jack Nicklaus's tournament. And he greets you coming off the green. The third one used to be Bay Hill and Arnie's tournament, but Arnie's passed. Doesn't carry as much weight as it did. So the best of the best of the best are going to be in Ohio this week at Murrayfield, playing in Jack's tournament. and I'm going to do top 10s and top 20s, put those out on Wednesday. I'm going to make you a crap load of money. Okay, we're dialed in. You don't like golf? Who gives a rat's ass? You like money? Come on. Get over to Doc's. Put that $60 towards a package, towards a daily package, a monthly package. Griff, how you been rolling? I haven't checked in with you too much. You know, I got to book a phone call with you with your secretary now that you're gaining all this fame and notoriety. I can't even get through to Griff anymore now.
Oh, come on.
I got to have his girl call my girl to just work it out. But how you doing, brother?
Dude, I'm doing good, man. We're actually spiraling hot right now. MLB, I'm on a nice $2,500 profit run. Cleaned up yesterday, had a 2-0 sweep. I had Baltimore yesterday on the run line. I had Philadelphia on the run line. And then I had Detroit first 5. I pushed that one. I'm on a nice MLB run right now, actually steamrolling. When it comes to hockey postseason, 4-0 right now in my last 4 selections during postseason. So we're cleaning up there. I want to say I'm on a $1,700 run across that. NBA postseason, in my last 9 selections, I am 6-3. I want to say I'm up about $1,600 there. And in soccer, in my last, I want to say 40 plays, I'm hitting nearly 64%. And today, actually, right now, I have a 7-unit best bet that's literally kicking off in the next 15 minutes. So I am absolutely drilling right now. 25-13, I want to say, in soccer in my last 38 plays. 6-3 NBA, 4-0 NHL. And MLB, I don't know my exact coordinates. I just know I'm on a hot run right now. $2,600 profit, $2,500 profit. So we're rolling, Tony. I've got a 3-pack today in MLB, and I've got a WNBA. And WNBA, I'm up $1,000 to start the season. I want to say I'm 9-7 or 10-7. So, you know, everything, we are in profit. That is the main goal. Everything, we are winning day in, day out. We're collecting profit. Everybody is happy at the end of the day, and we go to sleep happy, Tony.
This here is called a cell phone. You text me that 7-unit play in soccer in the next 2 minutes, dude.
I got you.
I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. You better text it or you're picking up all the drinks on Thursday.
Send it over right now, bro.
Griffin and I'll be back. You can catch us on my StreamYard podcast. I'll give you an update on we'll do some StreamYards during the summer before the Doc's Gridiron 6-pack hits. Again, 68%, 100-game sample size for free. Remember that this fall. All these podcasts out there, all these young whippersnappers coming out of the woodwork, they're all world champion handicaps because they got a podcast and a Twitter. No. The real deal right here. Doc's Gridiron 6-pack. Be there or be square. Have a great summer, guys. Enjoy your NBA finals, your NHL finals. And you know where to find Griffin and I each and every day. Thanks for tuning in.